Thank you all for being here today. And I'm going to try to piece together a sequence of events that is still quite bizarre for us. This is a first for us, but I'm going to try to piece it together and give you as much information as I currently have at this time. I'm going to start with the wee hours of the morning yesterday, before our encounter with our suspect. At about 1:07 a.m., we know that our suspect, Mr. Bill Cobb, arrives at the Lucky Shuck restaurant, which is just south of the Jupiter Inlet area, that restaurant area off US 1 there in Jupiter. He arrives at 1:07 in his Tesla. He parks it in the no parking zone essentially down there. And at 2 a.m., surveillance footage has him wandering around behind those restaurants, which has quite a few boats stored or docked behind the restaurant area. Shortly after 2 a.m., at 2:10 a.m., a Towboat USA boat GPS comes online because the boat's moving, and a Towboat USA boat heads would be north and then a little bit east before it is stuck on a sandbar there near the Jupiter Inlet. Our suspect, who did steal that vessel, then makes his way to the north side of the waterway, so he's now up by the lighthouse area. And then he starts making his way north on US 1, where Jupiter Police Department encounter him at roughly 3 in the morning. They have a conversation with him. They know about the Towboat USA boat, but they can't quite connect the pieces together in that case at that time. From 3 in the morning till about 1 p.m. yesterday, we don't really have a lot of knowledge where he is. During the interview process, he said that he was sleeping on a vessel somewhere in the area. But we know around noon or 1 p.m. yesterday, our suspect arrives on scene down at a marina in South County, Hope Sound. He is conversing with different individuals down there. We're trying to piece together witness statements, and we're trying to pull video footage, which we don't have yet. But we know for about a 3-hour period, he is from a restaurant down there, Tiki 52, out on the dock, back to the restaurant, and witnesses say he's actually in the vessel, a 68-foot yacht, prepping that vessel for launch. And I'm not a boater, but it's my understanding that it's a complex process to take a vessel of that size and get it ready for launch. I guess there's electrical things that have to be switched. There's certain generators that have to be turned off, certain ones that have to be turned on, and then of course, just the functionality of the boat with the engine is its own process. So between 1 and 3:55-ish yesterday, he's in and out of that vessel. He's on and off the dock, interacting with people down there, seemingly belonging there. He blends in well. At 3:55 yesterday, we got our first 911 call from the dock master down at the dock. And the dock master had observed the vessel leaving the area, knew something was seemingly off, and had reached out to the captain of the vessel, asking the captain, "Hey captain, I see the vessel's leaving. I don't have you on my list as going out to sea today. Are you indeed actually on the vessel going out to sea?" And the captain's response was no. They then made contact with the owner, and the owner verified that no one should be on the vessel. The vessel should be still at the dock. The 911 call came in. Of course, we started trying to piece it together because the information was really quite bizarre to us. We thought initially maybe the vessel was being repossessed, which we have occasionally. We found out that was indeed not the case. The vessel is actually paid for. And we started getting information about who may have been on the vessel. Our initial information, which turned out not to be the case, was that 2 Jamaican males had boarded the vessel. What we did know, though, was that the vessel was making its way northbound up the Intercoastal Waterway towards the Hope Sound area. Our watch commanders and supervisors on scene immediately started setting a mobile perimeter, including Jupiter Island Police Department. So on both sides of the Intercoastal Waterway, there was a perimeter that followed the route of the boat. In case our suspect bailed off the boat or swam from the boat to shore, we could immediately take him into custody and keep that individual or individuals from running loose on either Jupiter Island or on the preserve area. But as the vessel made its way north, multiple Marine units from different jurisdictions responded. And that included the Martin County Sheriff's Office, FWC, and the Jupiter Island Marine Unit. our aviation unit also responded. And as they pieced together more information, they locked onto the boat, realized that they were at an extreme tactical disadvantage. We're talking about a 3-story yacht, 68 foot, and our vessels with 1 or 2 Marine officers were not suited to safely take those individuals into custody. And they were trying to do announcements through the PA at that point, trying to get him to come into compliance, and there was no communication. Our supervisors did a good job of having the Hope Sound and the Cato's Bridge locked down temporarily to keep our vessel in between those bridges so he couldn't escape. But as he made his way to the Hope Sound Bridge, he started pushing on the pilings that are below the bridge, and the decision was made, because we had helicopters in place, or our helicopter was in place, boats in place, and at this point tactical officers in place, we made the decision to open the bridge so the boat didn't cause, if it could cause, any damage to the bridge. So the vessel then got underway northbound through the Hope Sound Bridge off of Bridge Road, made it about a quarter of a mile north of the bridge, and then for some reason, we're not sure why, it seems that the operator, the suspect, was unable to maneuver the vessel. Our Marine deputies at that point were in place, having had time to talk through different tactics. They came up with a plan of beaching the suspect vessel, or the stolen vessel, which they did. And that consisted of multiple boats, smaller boats, powering heavily against the side of the stolen vessel and pushing it into the mangroves where it was disabled. At that point, SWAT operators came from the bridge and from some local docks with tear gas and some breaching rounds, made their way to where the vessel was now pinned down by our patrol boats, and started making announcements trying to get our suspect to come into compliance, which he did not do. He was not complying, so gas was deployed. He eventually did come out and work his way to the front deck, where SWAT operators took him into custody, and then the vessel was cleared to make sure that there weren't 2 operators on there like we were told initially. I'm going to try to piece together a little bit about our suspect. Let me go back real quick. We did bring him to the sheriff's office, and right from the beginning he spoke a little bit of English, or at least he acted like he spoke a small amount of English. But of course we do know that he interacted with Jupiter Police earlier in the day, and we know he interacted with people in the dock, so we don't really believe him in that regard. He spoke a small amount of Spanish, but we also learned that he was Russian, of Russian descent, and spoke Russian. And he said he couldn't speak anything other than Russian. So we contacted Homeland Security. They brought in a Russian interpreter here to our office, and they sat down for an interview. During the interview, our suspect was caught in a multitude of lies. He, in our opinion, tried to feign that he was insane for a bit, and then he could answer questions that were more complex, and obviously stole a vessel that was difficult to steal. Through our investigation, though, we're trying to piece together exactly who is our suspect. I think I gave you the name last night, but let me reiterate it to you. Our suspect, our defendant now, is 29-year-old Nikolai Vilkov, who is a Russian national. Now, how did he get here? How did he end up in Martin County? We don't know, but we do know a little bit about his history. In November of 2022, Vilkov and his family flew from Turkey to Mexico. On December 13th of 2022, they made their way to the Mexican-Texas border and asked for asylum, and him and his family, his wife and child, were granted asylum and allowed to enter our country. From 2022 up until this year, we really don't know much about his movement within the country. We know we have a driver's license that shows that he's from Charlotte, North Carolina, and he said that he was recently from Charlotte, North Carolina. But the next time we see him is, or hear about him, is April 30th of this last year, when his wife and child flew back to Russia from the United States. And then at some point, he made his way down here to Martin County. He has currently been charged with grand theft of a motor vehicle, $2.5 million vessel, aggravated fleeing and eluding, resisting arrest without violence, and we do expect more charges, like I said, from the boat theft. He will be charged with the boat theft from earlier in that day from down in Jupiter. So Jupiter Police Department's been up there. They've gotten their information. They're going to be filing for a warrant for his arrest. He is being held without bond in our facility over here. We have worked together with the FBI and HSI to try to piece together his life. Again, I've told you what I know about it. We've done our best to piece it together. We still have more work to do. Let me back up just a minute. We found no devices. He had no cell phone on him. He had no cell phone in the vessel that we were able to recover. So we know limited information about him. He's been lying to us. But what we do know is that he has an ICE detainer on him, and the next time he steals a vessel, if he does steal a vessel, it'll be back in Russia, not here in the United States. So he's been given an ICE detainer. When he serves his time here, he'll be deported out of our country. So with that, let me kick it over to you guys, and I'll try to answer any questions you have. Go ahead.
Sheriff, do you know if he was working independently, or is that something you're still trying to figure out?
So the question is, was he working independently? Of course, we have a lot of theories, and this is a theory only, but what we see here in South Florida is smuggling ventures. We know right now that the Texas border is locked down tight. The Mexican border is locked down tight. And we are expecting an influx of immigrant landings here in Florida. We've seen them. So a theory, not necessarily a true theory, but a theory is this vessel was being stolen and moved to the Bahamas for a smuggling venture. But we have not been able to verify that.
Can you connect him to any other boat thefts? I know there's one in Riviera Beach. Can you connect him to any others right now? That's still early.
The question is, can we connect them to any other boat thefts? And the answer is no, other than the one in Jupiter and then ours, where we're able to take them into custody. No, not at this time.
And Sheriff, the one in Jupiter is the towboat US of Palm Beach. That was that was Sunday, early Sunday, is that right?
So it was Sunday night going into yesterday. So it was early yesterday morning.
And can you just go over again how you found out that he did steal that boat as well? Like what set off the alarm bells for that one?
Yeah, so the question is, how do we piece together the two stolen vessels? Jupiter Police Department had been called down, and they were investigating the theft of that boat. And they had gone and done a really good job recovering video surveillance from the square grouper. And then we know from the restaurants down there that his vehicle had actually been towed by the restaurants because it was left in a valet parking area. So Jupiter Police Department was building a good case. They had good video with our suspect on the docks down there. And so once we had him in custody, they called us immediately saying, that's our guy. We know he's the one that stole our vessel.
And he was not on that boat when they recovered it?
The question is, was he on the towboat when they recovered it? The answer is no. He had already somehow made his way to shore and was walking down the highway.
Did he jump into the water and swim to shore? How did he make it from the water to US 1?
The question is, how did he make it from the water to US 1? And the answer is, that's our assumption. We don't really know, but that's our assumption, yes.
So once here, do you have any idea where he might have been staying? In a hotel, in a house? Did he have any sort of address in South Florida?
So the question is, where was he staying in South Florida? His answer to us was that he was sleeping in his car. But we are actually coming to you all. If anyone here in our area knows about this individual, knows of any other boat thefts that are unique, if you know anything about them, please reach out to us. Our detective bureau will do a thorough investigation and try to track down who he is and what he was all about.
So he told you he was sleeping in his car, so right now we don't know what his connections were to Martin County.
The question is, he said he was sleeping in his car. Do we know any connections to Martin County? And the answer is, we don't know of any connections other than now he's a resident of Martin County living in our jail.
And Sheriff, since coming to the U.S., does he have any criminal record that you guys have been able to dig up?
So the question is, does he have any criminal record? And the answer is no. But this does highlight a problem that we've seen with immigration, illegal immigration specifically. We don't know what he did in Russia. We know he showed up on the Mexican border. He was allowed into our country, but we have no idea what his criminal history is overseas. So we could be dealing with a real bad guy or not, but we're just not sure.
And talk about him, like this individual. I mean, it's not easy for just a random person to just get on a 3-story yacht and operate it and be able to go out to the intercoastal. If you can just describe what kind of person would do something like that.
Yeah, so the question is, and the point is, it's not that easy for any individual to get on a vessel this size and operate it. And my response to that is, I could not get on that vessel. I know a little bit about boats, but I could not operate that vessel. The individuals that operate those vessels are boat captains. They've been to school, they understand maritime law, they understand how the thrusters and the boat works holistically. Again, there's all kinds of electrical inputs, outputs on that vessel. I'm getting way over my head, but there's a lot of things that go on in that vessel that a normal person could not figure out how to operate. And somehow he was able to get on there, disconnect and connect, turn the vessel on, and head up the intercoastal. We were perplexed yesterday, by the way, as to why he didn't go southbound and out the Jupiter Inlet, right? That was just right around the corner. And now we know why. After the towboat got hung up on a sandbar down there, he knew not to go southbound because he got hung up down there, so he was headed northbound.
Do you have any idea?
No, go ahead, you're good,
Do
you're
you
good.
have any ideas of where he was going?
The question is, do we have any idea of where he was going? And the answer is we have no idea where he was going. Our speculation and our fear was he was headed up to the St. Lucie Inlet and going over to the Bahamas, which we have seen as far as stolen vessels go. We know that he had the fuel capacity to do it. We were making tactical arrangements with the Coast Guard and AMO, Air and Marine Operations from the feds, to do an at-sea interdiction if need be. But we really were in a quandary as far as tactically how to tackle the issue we had. It was almost like trying to stop a semi with a small car, and that's what our marine operators were doing yesterday.
And Sheriff, no cell phone or device on the yacht with him. Was there one found in his Tesla or in any of his possession whatsoever?
So the question is, no device found on the yacht or on him. Was there any in the car? And the answer is we're doing a search warrant for the car to try to see what's in the vehicle. The only thing on the yacht that belonged to him was a change of clothes. Of course, he knew we were on to him for a period of time as he made his way north in the intercoastal waterway. He could see our vessels. He could see us setting up, our deputies setting up. So if he wanted to discard that, he could have easily discarded it, and we wouldn't have seen it.
If you can, talk about the dangers of this guy operating the vessel. Obviously, he's not a captain. He had a lot of fuel on board as well. I mean, talk about the dangers that your deputies had faced, but also other people that could have been out in the water.
So the question is, what kind of dangers could other people in the water face? And I would say catastrophic dangers. Yesterday I noticed paddle boarders and kayakers in the intercoastal waterway. The water was nice and glassy. It was beautiful out there yesterday. And they have no idea that the 68-foot yacht coming their way is operated by an individual that just stole it and clearly doesn't know how to properly operate the vessel. So we're glad no lives were lost. We're glad that he didn't hit anything other than barely hitting the bridge, and then our deputies, they put a hurting on him, pushing him back up in the weeds, but they had to do that. They couldn't just let that vessel continue to careen through our county and endanger people.
Sheriff, the Blowing Rocks Marina, that is the one directly in front of Tiki 52, correct?
Yes, the question is, the Blowing Rocks Marina is in front of Tiki 52. Yes, they're together.
And so, talking, doing interviews with people in that area, did you get a sense, I think you mentioned language barrier, was he speaking English with the people in there? Was he drinking at the bar? What was he doing?
So the question was, what was our suspect doing at Tiki 52, the Blowing Rocks Marina area? He says that he was actually sleeping on that vessel prior to stealing it, but we haven't confirmed that. But we know he interacted. We know he did drink some, and we're just not sure. They're extremely cooperative with us. They've been working with us from the beginning. In fact, they did a great job seeing something was wrong and calling us and giving us the information we needed. But they're waiting to get the video footage to our detectives so they can kind of piece through it.
Was he speaking English with them?
The question is, was he speaking English with them? And the answer is, we think so, but we're not sure.
So you brought a translator in. Is he being cooperative? Is he giving information? I know you said you guys believe he's lying about a lot of things as well.
So the question was, we brought a translator in. Did we think he was being cooperative or answering questions? He answered questions to a degree. He did admit to stealing the vessel, but nothing that was overly insightful for us. We want to know where you came from, why you stole the vessel, where were you going with the vessel, what were you going to do with the vessel, and those questions did not get answered properly.
So also, Sheriff, it has to be difficult to, when it comes to his family, his wife and child are now back in Russia, so your opportunity to question them to understand maybe why they left or any of his behavior, that I would assume is limited. Have you been able to have any communication with them out there?
So the question is, was it the ability to talk to the family members and get insight into our suspect? And the answer is, as of now, no. We would love it if we could make contact with them. They left legally, and my assumption is they could probably come back, but they're gone, and we're not sure why they left just prior to this. If there's a nexus to that, we're trying to piece that together.
And what happens next? I know you say you have an ascertainer on this guy. In terms of your investigation, like, what are we trying to do to piece together? Like, what will be going out in the waterway? What else needs to happen?
So the question is, what happens next? And the answer is search warrants on the phones, pulling videos, talking to people on the dock, reaching out to your viewing audience, seeing if anyone knows or saw anything that was suspicious. and doing our best to piece it together. Again, we may never know exactly what was taking place, but what we do know is that he will not be stealing boats here anymore. He will be deported.
And you said in the beginning, have you ever ran into something like this before? I mean, this is bizarre.
The question is, have I ever run into anything like this? The answer is no. This was a first time for me, and it was quite exciting in a tactical way, trying to piece together what to do. Our SWAT operators train maritime vessel operations, but that's normally same size boat, doing boarding same size boat, not a small 20-foot boat against a 68-foot yacht. And again, tactically, our deputies did a phenomenal job yesterday, thinking on their toes, pinning that vessel down, calling in tactical resources. Keep in mind that vessel's 3 stories, all blacked out windows, one-way glass, so he can see us, but we can't see him. And if he had a weapon in there, which he didn't, but had he had a weapon in there, we would have been at a disadvantage as he took the first blow. But we had plenty of tactical guys out there to negate that, but it was at a disadvantage for sure.
Just confirm, he did not have a weapon on board that belonged to him. Because I know,
Yeah, just
could there have been flare guns on board? Was there anything that he could have been? But
just the question is, just to confirm, he did not have any weapons on board. There were flare guns, there were things on there that would have been detrimental for him, not for our SWAT guys. They would have been fine.
Sheriff, last question for me. In your experience in law enforcement, I know Tyler had asked just how bizarre this case was, but if looking at this now and knowing what you guys know and what you don't know, what about this case and what about this suspect may not sit right with you? What is kind of your biggest concern with this guy?
So the question, I think, if I boil it down, is what is our takeaway, what's our concern, is you never know what's going on at a larger level. We do know where we sit. We know we're on a border. We know we've had Russians come in here before, Chinese, the list goes on and on. So we're aware of that. And we're concerned about that. So it's our job, as we see pressure start to build on the Mexican border, to pay attention over here, which we've done. We've gone and gotten our guys certified federally where they can take action. Our Marine deputies, clearly, they executed well yesterday, so we're trying to be cutting edge. We're working with Palm Beach County, AMO to stay on that. But again, tactically, we got to go back to the drawing boards and make sure we're in a position where we can mitigate these kind of situations. We did a good job yesterday, and we're thankful no one was hurt, but that could have been a lot worse.
Do you know how much time he'll serve in jail before he's deported?
The question is, how much time will he serve in jail? And the answer is, I don't know. He would score prison time based on the value of the vessel that he stole, and then again, the value of the vessel that he stole down in Jupiter. So he is looking at time before he's deported. He's not just going to be released and get out of his sentence here before he's sent back.